कि पूरी ताकत हमारे पास हो। इंडिजिनस टेक्नोलॉजी, भारतीय साइंटिस्ट पिछली दशक से तैयार थे, लास्ट डेकेड से तैयार थे, और सरकार में यह क्षमता नहीं थी, यह स्पष्टता नहीं थी, यह क्लैरिटी नहीं थी कि उनको अनुमति दे। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ओर से भी विशेष अभिनंदन के पात्र हैं कि जो इस देश की सिक्योरिटी डॉक्ट्रिन को एडवांस करने का एक काम वो कर रहे हैं, एक नया विजन दे रहे हैं, ये उसमें एक माइलस्टोन है। अब मुझे लगता है कि इस प्रकार की ताकत के साथ भारत की केवल शक्ति ही नहीं बढ़ेगी, हमारी क्षमता की इस क्षेत्र के अंदर हम शांति कायम रखें, वी आर एबल टू कंपेल अदर्स टू मेंटेन पीस इन दिस रीजन, ये भी हमारी क्षमता बढ़ेगी। हमारे अपने लिए एक ताकत बढ़ेगी क्योंकि ये डेटरेंट होगा। और मुझे लगता है कि इट्स अ मॉन्यूमेंटल स्टेप फॉरवर्ड एज फार एज इंडिया इज कंसर्न। निर्मला जी कुछ यस, थैंक यू।
आप लोगों को
या प्लीज
राजीव,
well, let me first of all respond to you. This has something to do with India and not BJP. BJP is supporting the stand that the government has done. Therefore, this doesn't relate to BJP or it's only not now. From the days of Janasangh, nationalism has been to the core. And it is that philosophy which is guiding the Prime Minister in taking these steps forward. The very fact that he's become a leader who's thinking of tomorrow, not only in relation to economy, not only in relation to our national security, but also in terms of technology as far as wars are concerned in future, shows the vision. And it also shows that India today is in safe hands.
रविंदर
देश को इस पर गर्व है, हम सबको गर्व है, लेकिन ममता बनर्जी ने इसे कहा कि ग्रॉस वायलेशन ऑफ मॉडल कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट, क्या हरी थी, क्या जल्दबाजी थी, हम इलेक्शन कमीशन जाएंगे, और राहुल गांधी ने वे ऑफ क्रिएटर कहा।
Well, I'll tell you, the lower they go, the stronger we'll emerge. And as far as this whole issue of election commission is concerned, which they have raised, I wish to say something. India's nuclear program is a continuing program. It's not a new program. And therefore, it's a continuing program, and it can't be put to a halt because it doesn't suit the West Bengal Chief Minister or any other political leader. It will continue 365 days a year, elections or no elections. भारत का जो न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम है वो एक कंटिन्यूइंग प्रोग्राम है, कोई नया प्रोग्राम नहीं है। वो 365 दिन चलेगा, चुनाव हो या ना हो। मुझे लगता है कि बालाकोट और पुलवामा में एक ऐतिहासिक भूल करने के बाद इतिहास ने हिंदुस्तान के विपक्ष को एक और अवसर दिया उस गलती को सुधारने का, कि जब हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने अब देश की ताकत बढ़ाई है, कम से कम उस देश के विश्वास के साथ, देश के कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ, उन वैज्ञानिकों के साथ तो खड़े होकर अपना दायित्व निभाइए। यहां हम बात कर रहे हैं राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा की, यहां की जियोपॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन की, और वहां वो व्हाट आई मे टर्म एज क्लेरिकल ऑब्जेक्शंस कि अब क्यों किया, चुनाव के बाद करते। कैन एनीबडी आर्ग्यू दैट सच सेंसिटिव प्रोग्राम्स should have been disclosed to anybody except those in command? Is that the requirement of national security? It's regrettable that the elementary lessons of national security are not known to my friends in the opposition. Where there are certain segments in the world, a certain large number of countries which will grudge India for having achieved this, we should first have been disclosing our program and its culmination to anyone, howsoever high he may be. It can never be done. National security prevails over every other consideration. मतलब मुझे एक, I am reminded of on a lighter vein, my reference by a word I am going to use is not to any political friend, but it reminds me of a similarity. When the finger points to the moon, the idiot always points to the finger. कि एक पुरानी कहावत है। तो आपको राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा की चिंता नहीं है, क्यों किया, कब किया, राष्ट्रीय गर्व की चिंता नहीं है, आपने पहले पूछ के क्यों नहीं किया, देश की सिक्योरिटी की जो सीक्रेसी की अहमियत है उसको लीक क्यों नहीं पहले किया। मतलब जो लोग इस तरह के वक्तव्य देते हैं वो शायद किस स्तर की राजनीति उनको करनी चाहिए, ये फैसला जनता को करना पड़ेगा।
शैलेंद्र
सर, जैसा कि एयर स्ट्राइक में कहा गया था कि वो साहस नहीं दिखाया गया पूर्व की सरकारों के द्वारा 26/11 के बाद जो मोदी की सरकार ने किया। देखिए,
हम इसको कोई राजनीतिक मुद्दा नहीं बना रहे। ये बिल्कुल, मैंने जो पहले प्रश्न में भी कहा, मान लीजिए मैं एक अन्य तरीके से करता हूं, चुनाव न हो रहा था तो क्या जब हमारे वैज्ञानिकों ने ये ताकत हासिल कर ली, इसका प्रयोग होता कि ना होता टेस्टिंग के लिए? मान लीजिए पुलवामा न हुआ होता और चुनाव न भी हो रहे होते और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के पास ये खबर आती इंटेलिजेंस से कि बालाकोट में टेररिस्ट कैंप चल रहा है जहां सैकड़ों टेररिस्ट भारत के ऊपर हमला करने वाले हैं, तो भारत सरकार वही करती जो आज किया है। और अगर भारत सरकार चुनाव की वजह से उसको दबा जाती है तो वो फिर देश के साथ न्याय ना करती।
इसकी तुलना मीडिया में हो रही है जो अटल जी ने न्यूक्लियर पोखरण में किया था और कहा गया था कि दुनिया के सामने एक मिसाल रखी गई, क्या उस तरह से इस पूरे?
देखिए, since it's a deterrent, the deterrence has to be known to all concerned. And a deterrent of this kind, there is no better person than the Prime Minister who has to inform the world of this deterrent.
हिमांशु,
मेरा सवाल ये है कि जो आज भारत में उपलब्धि हासिल की है उसके बाद आपको लगता है कि पाकिस्तान उससे कुछ सबक सीखते हुए जो सीमा पर टेंस की सिचुएशन बनी हुई?
नहीं, मैं उनकी गारंटी कभी, मैं कुछ उनकी गारंटी नहीं लेता।
पॉल,
you mentioned about there could be some nations who could grudge India developing this capability. In 2007, when China tested this on an unused weather satellite, there was worldwide condemnation. The US then, in response, tested it on an unused satellite, and there was.
That's all right. You see, India has been an extremely responsible acquirer of nuclear technology. The world knows it. And the world also knows the responsible conduct of India, that we never use these except as a deterrent. These are for our defense. defense, and the world knows our commitment to peace, and therefore the standards which the world will apply to us will certainly be different, because our track record as a very responsible acquirer of technology is known.
Certainly be different in comparison to China.
Well, why should I name any nation?
Yeah. Because she raised it on debris.
You see, somebody raised the issue of environmental debris, because some environmentalists may say it's happened in the case of China, etc. In this case, our scientists have taken all precautions, and in a matter of 3 weeks, the whole environment will be debris-free.
Up.
How can you post 2014? The rest need not be answered. It's too sensitive an information. किसने कहा है? हर प्रश्न का उत्तर देने की आवश्यकता नहीं है.
धन्यवाद.
All right, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley there concluding a press conference, also fielding wide-ranging questions from the journalists present there on the big announcement made earlier today by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his address to the nation that lasted about 10 minutes, but there was a massive build-up and there was huge excitement and a sense of anticipation as the Prime Minister himself had tweeted about it, asking people around the country to tune in to their TV and radio sets and on the social media to find out what he was about to say. He eventually announced that India had carried out Mission Shakti, a very difficult, complex operation, but one that has been extremely successful. India testing its anti-satellite capabilities. Essentially, India's anti-satellite missile system has been successfully tested today against a low Earth orbit satellite. As we said, this entire operation was codenamed Mission Shakti. With this, India, as the Prime Minister announced in his address, has entered an elite club of space superpowers, which in fact comprises only 3 other countries: the US, Russia and China. Also, because some critics refer to this as weaponization of outer space, an allegation that was leveled against China back in 2007 when it conducted a similar test. The government, the finance minister there at pains to point out how India's track record and conduct of the past is abundant evidence before the world that India is a peace-loving nation, fully committed to peace, and that this test that we've carried out today is nothing but an attempt on India's part to boost its security mechanisms. This is aimed at strengthening India's national security apparatus. This is meant at furthering India's economic growth and technological advancements. This is not targeted against any country. The reason the government has at length clarified this is because, as we said, this has been considered controversial in the past when other countries like China have carried out similar tests, because earlier India's stand was that we are opposed to what is referred to as weaponization of the outer space, but the government today is saying we still remain opposed to weaponization of outer space. This is not what we are attempting to do. At the end of the day, what matters is our intent. What we are doing essentially is a matter of self-defense. Let's listen into what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said during his address to the nation when he made that big announcement.
आज 27 मार्च कुछ ही समय पूर्व भारत ने एक अभूतपूर्व सिद्धि हासिल की है। भारत ने आज अपना नाम अंतरिक्ष महाशक्ति स्पेस पावर के रूप में दर्ज करा दिया है। अब तक दुनिया के 3 देश अमेरिका, रूस और चीन को यह उपलब्धि हासिल थी। अब भारत चौथा देश है जिसने आज यह सिद्धि प्राप्त की है। सिर्फ 3 मिनट में सफलतापूर्वक यह ऑपरेशन पूरा किया गया है। मिशन शक्ति यह अत्यंत कठिन ऑपरेशन था, जिसमें बहुत ही उच्च कोटि की तकनीकी क्षमता की आवश्यकता थी। वैज्ञानिकों द्वारा सभी निर्धारित लक्ष्य और उद्देश्य प्राप्त कर लिए गए हैं।
The Prime Minister there making that big announcement that India has entered a super league of space powers. The only other countries to have achieved this in the past are the United States, Russia and China. Of course, China, when it conducted this test in 2007, triggered quite a controversy and invited worldwide condemnation. But the government of India is certainly hoping that that will not be the case with India's test. The Prime Minister there and the press release has been put out by the Defence Ministry, as well as the statement made by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley at that press conference just a short while ago, repeatedly making the point that India's track record and conduct as a peace-loving nation, a country that's fully committed to peace, is well known to the entire world. This is not a move aimed at against any country. This is something we've done as a matter of self-defense to boost our own security preparedness. To talk about what this big leap really means for India is Professor S.K. Dhaka, space scientist, joining me here now in the studio. Also with us, my colleague Ashish Singh. Professor Dhaka, if I could begin with you. You know, there are very interesting aspects to this entire story that we need to discuss. We will get to the China angle in a moment.
Yeah.
We will talk in a bit about why this has been controversial in the past. There are some who are also saying, why has India decided to go ahead with this test now? But fact of the matter is, all those questions apart, this is a capability Indian scientists have possessed for a long time.
Yeah.
The DRDO, the ISRO and their heads are on record as having said in the past that we possess the capability, but we haven't been given the political go-ahead. That has changed now. Now that we've entered this elite club, what does this truly mean, sir, for India's defense and security capabilities?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important for India, and I begin with like to congratulate my Indian scientists and technologists, and as a nation, we really have gone to the 4th in the world.
Yes.
And after, as you mentioned, that after America, Russia and China. So I think it was needed because the China did this about a decade ago. And it was really important for us just to show that we are having the, at least, if not larger, but at least we are having the same power.
Yes.
So that was very, very important because this is needed to have the defense system for our satellite.
So for the benefit of our viewers who do not have a full understanding of what this anti-satellite missile system actually does.
Okay.
You know, because fact of the matter is that this is very complex.
Yeah.
Right? So for the benefit of our viewers, sir, if you could just deconstruct it, simplify it for us. What does it do? What does it mean?
Okay. In fact, when the satellite rises up, it goes above the horizon. And then we are having the radar system, we are having satellite system, and we are having this missile system. So then you need to really detect, the precision should be very, very high, because everything is in motion. So when the satellite is in the motion, and you have to detect the motion, and then you have to fix the target. So by what time exactly you have to hit, it is important. So the technology is important to locate that and to hit that.
So essentially it means, sir, that, India is maintaining this is not weaponization of outer space. We are still opposed to it. However, when we say that this is essentially a matter of self-defense for India, what we are saying is that if tomorrow there is a hostile satellite that's targeting one of our satellites in outer space, now we fully possess the capability, having carried out this test, to shoot that rogue satellite down. Would it be correct to say that?
Yeah, exactly.
In very simple terms?
Yeah, very, very simple. Because it is important, like, if somebody is entering in our space and then doing the spying, and then definitely you can proceed. You can hit that.
Okay.
And the most important point, I think we need to have the protection for our own satellite communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is also very important.
That is important. Ashish, come in here. Before we talk about the controversies around, the ASATs that we've seen in the past, let's first talk about why this is such a giant leap for India and why this sends out a very important message to the world, especially to our adversaries.
See, for the common man, this is how I would like to put it in a couple of lines. You have space and cyber as the fourth dimension of warfare. We had land, we had maritime, we had air. So far, the conventional domains of land, maritime and air have been the areas where most of the countries have been focusing on as far as creating deterrence and projecting power is concerned, military power. But space and cyber in last few years has become the fourth domain of the warfare, and in this particular domain India was quick enough to register its presence. This is one part. The second part is basically this is for the deterrence. This is not to harm or target any missile or the satellite or any such object or the projectile in space. It's simply just the deterrence message. Until 11:10 a.m. today morning, India did not have that capability. So any of the countries, any of the three countries, if they wanted, if and when, they could have shot down any of our either a military or a communication or any commercial satellite. But now they all are aware India has become the fourth country, and if any such mischievous activity is done against India in the fourth domain of warfare, that space, India also has the capability of retaliating in this same domain. Remember, you can't cause the damage that is done by your adversaries and enemy in one particular domain. Then you can't cause the exact intensity and retaliation in the other domain, specifically when we are talking about space. If we do not have the capability of these kind of asset missiles in the space domain, then all that we'll end up doing, if you have a China shooting down any of our military, communication or commercial satellites, we will just be engaging with China either in maritime Indian Ocean or say at the LAC between India and China, or the air power. But the damage is being caused somewhere else. And that's the domain where we needed the
That's an important point you're making, Ashish, that this is the fourth domain, this is the fourth dimension of warfare, as it were, that India could not afford to ignore anymore. That is the message the Indian government has sent out today. Now, ASATs, anti-satellites, Ashish, are essentially space weapons designed to disable or destroy satellites for strategic military purposes. These would be rogue satellites, satellites that are, intended to harm or hurt your interests in outer space. However, I am going to play the devil's advocate and ask you this question, that for a long time, India's stated position before the international community, including before the United Nations, was that we are opposed to weaponization of outer space. It would be a dangerous arms race to enter. However, with today's test, while we are very clear that this is nothing but deterrence, not targeted against any country, but do you see this as some sort of a reversal of India's position, and therefore should we brace ourselves for some criticism that may come our way from some international quarters?
Certainly not. These are two-part question, Neha. To answer the first part, it is not just for the satellites. Remember, any incoming projectile which India feels as a threat. You need not have just the satellites being neutralized of the adversaries. As I was explaining to our viewers earlier, the adversary can simply operate in a covert manner. They can make one of their satellites as the useless satellite and make it as a kinetic projectile, which basically can hit either Indian satellite in space or India either in maritime domain, land or air domain. So these are multiple ways where how a satellite orbiting can be converted into a projectile against India. So in that aspect as well, the India as a country has now the capability to neutralize. And as our viewers must have seen in so many Hollywood movies, you have multiple ways and potentials, domains of potential as far as the incoming projectile or the threat from outer space is concerned. That's a little far-fetched imagination, but since you're talking about space and fourth domain, this can also in long term, in futuristic warfare, can come into a picture. Maybe a very stepping stone, a very basic pillar of the larger program with a longer range and the capabilities that we'll see in future, but it's an important milestone. Now coming back to the second question, the technical aspect as far as the space treaty is concerned. Remember, there was a treaty in 1967, and India is a signatory to that particular treaty. I would just tell our viewers what that treaty exactly named as far as the international convention is concerned, the international treaty is concerned, and this particular treaty was signed by India too. So this treaty is called the Principal International Treaty on Space. This was in the 1967, and this is basically dealing with the outer space treaty. India signed this particular treaty and ratified in 1982. Now, as per the international outer space treaty, there is very specific clause that mentions that the weaponization of the space should not be done by all the countries that are signatory to this particular treaty, the international treaty of 1967, and India ratified it in 1982. When you have the specific clause as the weaponization should not be of mass destruction, that's a very specific mention in that particular international treaty of 1967, that the weaponization or any such projection, any such test should not be of mass destruction. Then Indian government stand remains extremely clear and away from that particular treaty of 1967, the international treaty, that what India did today, the ASAT BMD, is not the weapon for mass destruction. This is just to neutralize in case India feels any kind of threat from
so clearly,
an incoming
this
or
is
stationary
to
or a
enhance
kinetic
India's
projectile.
security preparedness. This is deterrence. And let's also remind our viewers, Ashish, what the Prime Minister said in his address to the nation. After announcing this big step forward by Indian scientists, the Prime Minister said, I assure the international community that our capability will not be used against anyone, but is purely India's defense initiative for its security. We are against arms race in space. This test will not breach any international law or treaty. The test is not directed against any country, he goes on to say. India's space capabilities do not threaten any country, nor are they directed against anyone. At the same time, the government is committed to ensuring the country's national security interests and is alert to threats from emerging technologies. Professor Dhaka, let me bring you back into the conversation, because there has been controversy around this in the past, because there have been questions raised about whether this amounts to weaponization of outer space, whether it can trigger a dangerous arms race in space. India has had a certain stated position before the world community, which is why today you have the Prime Minister and the government at pains to say, we remain opposed to weaponization of outer space. We are not entering any arms race. We are not targeting any country. We remain committed to peace. This is a matter pure and simple of deterrence and enhancing India's national security and strategic interests.
Exactly. In fact, I agree with you, and we are not going to the arm race in space, and certainly this is a matter for like our own defense system. So we have to develop our own indigenous, we are doing it for last several years. So it is nothing new that we did this only today for a very specific region. We are doing this continuously. We are developing our own defense system. And I would like to remind you that because few weeks ago, of course, there have been another similar test, and you might have seen that the BMD, this is the ballistic missile defense system. So we are doing it for last, of course, years, and successfully we have proved our capability.
Absolutely.
That, yeah, we can do it now.
So now I want to ask you a twofold question before I take this back to Ashish. Number one, you know, when we call it a deterrence and say that this is meant to boost our defense preparedness and strategic interests, somewhere we're also sending out a message to our adversaries. Ashish was talking about how we have difficult neighbors on both sides of our borders, Pakistan and China, whether we like it or not. And so far, our defense preparedness was confined to the three realms of land, air and sea. Now we seem to have entered a fourth realm. So the question is, what message firstly does it send to our adversaries? That's my first question.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important for the nation, for any nation, because our, as you mentioned, that we are having trouble, and especially in the last 2-3 months, so there has been a big problem with our neighbors. And then we need to show that our power, our strength, that we are very good, like in the space. And we are having, as you mentioned, the fourth dimension, that is the space. So we are doing very, very great in that, and there is no chance that someone can enter in our space and can harm us.
So essentially we are telling all the rogue elements out there, whether on this side of the border or that side of the border, that don't mess with us in space. You know, if you thought you could do that till now, we are now telling you, you are not, you would not want to risk it anymore, because we now fully possess the capability of dealing with you and fixing you. Before I go back to Ashish, sir, you are a space scientist yourself, and therefore the question that I want to ask you is, there is no doubt that Indian scientists have always done us very proud. You know, take the track record of ISRO, take the track record of DRDO, and today is another occasion when every Indian is very proud of their scientists. How big a victory is this for India's scientists today?
I think it's amazing. It's amazing because over the last 10 years, we have shown our power for Chandrayaan and the moon mission. And all kind of technology has been developed in India. Indigenously.
And at a fraction of the cost, you know, which is being incurred by many other nations who are attempting to do exactly the same.
In fact, somebody has calculated, I think the cost was for sending this Mars mission was same as 9 rupees per kilometer or something like that. It's the same, so people were laughing. So I'm pretty sure that the technology advancement was very necessary, and then it has been shown by our technologists and the scientists, and we are really proud of them today.
Absolutely. We are very proud of our scientists today, Ashish, aren't we? ISRO, DRDO have always done us very proud with their technological accomplishments in the past. Over the years, we've seen how ISRO has not just launched some amazingly successful missions for India, but you actually have other countries now turning to ISRO to launch its own satellites. That's the kind of capability that ISRO, for example, has proven that it has. There are also comparisons that are nowadays often drawn between NASA and ISRO. So today is a very proud day for India, Ashish, and today is a day when we are extremely proud of our scientists and their tremendous contribution.
It's slightly different than how it appears, Neha. For the benefit of viewers, I would explain to them, see, it does not primarily fall in the domain of ISRO. It falls in the domain of DRDO. Now, ISRO has altogether a different task and the capabilities. Yes, the ISRO's involvement, if and when we launch any such project like Mission Shakti, is extremely crucial and critical. But that would be slightly
passive. And of course, there is the DRDO.
Would be from the DRDO. Yeah, so the active one would be from the DRDO, because this is basically a combination of Agni missile, which is the ballistic missile of India, and the Prithvi air defense system. Again, when you have this combination, the air defense system with the ballistic missile, it can take you up to the specific level, and you utilize the same missile for the neutralization of the satellites. It's basically an extended derivative, extended version of India's air defense Prithvi 1. Now, when you have DRDO doing this particular part, the ISRO's role comes into picture to ensure the calculation of exactly what is the satellite that you're hitting, because that again does not fall in the domain of DRDO. DRDO is not going to have exact picture of which satellite, Indian and foreign satellites, which orbit, what distance, what's the purpose of, is it the telecom satellite, the commercial satellite, or a military satellite, or of any other type of satellite. So ISRO's role comes into picture as far as the satellites identification, the distance, the orbits and other aspects are concerned. Also to calculate, remember when you have a satellite being destroyed, or any such kinetic projectile coming towards India is being destroyed in space, in lower Earth orbit, the LEO is called, up to a range of approximately 300 km from Earth. Excuse me. In that particular case, you need ISRO to actually calculate, understand the not only just the pre-collision, but the post-collision effect. You're going to have debris. For example, Mission Shakti debris are going to be at least in the domain of space for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And it's going to take 3 weeks time, a tentative time, for these debris to fall back in the Earth. And that's when exactly the entire space will become clear. So you're going to calculate that you don't end up hitting, or the byproduct or the debris coming out of this particular collision but does not end up hitting any Indian satellite, because that's going to be in orbit, any foreign satellite. So all these aspects will come into picture. It's an extremely highly technical and domain specific job. But as far as the development of this particular system is concerned, it's primarily by the DRDO, because it deals with the Prithvi air defense system and the Agni ballistic missile, and the execution of it will certainly have ISRO. That
will have ISRO's imprint. In fact, as Professor Dhaka has been pointing out, Professor Dhaka, you were mentioning how whenever it comes to developing a missile program, the DRDO and ISRO have always traditionally worked in tandem. Would you say that the role of one is greater than that of the other?
I think it depends. Like, there are a number of the components which are basically developed, and they are developed at the different laboratories, and ultimately we are bringing them together at one place, and then we make a system. But I think one very important point Ashish pointed out, that is a kind of like when you hit this satellite. So it's a number of like a part is splitted. So those splitted part, they are basically circulating around the Earth.
The debris.
Debris. Yes. And then if the number is very large, so it can split out of the way, and then it can hit another satellite. So that is of course a danger. But we need to assess that in this particular case.
Is there some way? Well, I'm sure that ISRO will be keeping a very close eye on that.
Sure.
But is there any way of ensuring that you don't end up hitting your own satellites, or is that really beyond your control?
In fact, you have to check it before you do that. So then you need to have the prior information. So we are using satellite, we are using radar system, we are using another techniques also, and then radar techniques, and then you decide that what you are going to do. So so it is very safe that where you are going to hit.
So the radar systems that are in place essentially ensure that you stay on track. And that, it doesn't really end up causing any unintended effects. All right. Ashish and Professor Dhaka, stay on with me. We will continue with this discussion in just a moment. Before that, let's play out for our viewers some of the reactions that have been coming in from both the political class and a lot of our defense and security analysts.
Today, India is the 4th country in the world that has entered this club. Now this, if you see in the larger context, today Pakistan keeps harping, they keep sending militants inside, and they keep telling us that we are a nuclear armed country, and keep threatening that they'll launch nuclear missiles. Now this makes that entire thing redundant, because the moment they launch a missile, that missile can be easily destroyed.
So long as we have the means to protect our satellites, right? And how do we protect our satellites from damage by any other country? By having the capacity to destroy their satellite. So now it becomes a deterrent. So if a hostile power wishes to destroy our satellite, then they will be very reluctant to do so because we had the capacity and the capability to destroy their satellites.
भारत के इस स्पेस ताकत का दुरुपयोग नहीं होगा, लेकिन ये सबको बता दिया जाएगा, अगर निगाहें गलत होंगी तो कार्रवाई होगी। और इसे पूर्णता में देखिए, मोदी जी की अगुवाई में भारत दुनिया की एक बड़ी आर्थिक ताकत, एक बड़ी डिजिटल ताकत, भारतीय सेना और वायुसेना का नया साहसिक ऊंचाइयां, और आज भारत के वैज्ञानिकों ने स्पेस के क्षेत्र में एक ऐतिहासिक उपलब्धि प्राप्त की।
ऐतिहासिक मिशन शक्ति को सफल बनाने के लिए भारतीय वैज्ञानिकों को बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामनाएं। भारत तेजी से विश्वगुरु बनने की तरफ आगे बढ़ रहा है और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में विश्व में एक सुपर इकोनॉमिक पावर के साथ साथ एक सुपर वैज्ञानिक पावर के रूप में भी आगे जा रहा है। इसकी बहुत खुशी है।
It is unfortunate he is taking advantage of the situation. Credit doesn't go to him. It was initiated during our government, during UPS government. It was initiated by Dr. Manmohan Singh. It was his vision. Credit goes to Dr. Manmohan Singh. This announcement is against the code of conduct. Election Commission should take action against Prime Minister.
We are very fortunate that Congress has still not demanded any evidence. This is a moment of pride for the entire country and each and every Indian. If Congress people, Congress leaders are Indians, let them enjoy this prideness, let them enjoy this moment of prideness instead of picking holes.
एक घंटे टीवी चैनल पे प्रधानमंत्री जी टीवी का फुटेज खाते रहे। बेहतर ये होता कि इस अनाउंसमेंट को डीआरडीओ के चीफ करते। जिस संस्था की इतनी बड़ी उपलब्धि है, उस संस्था के प्रमुख अगर डीआरडीओ के चीफ इस परीक्षण की सफलता की घोषणा करते तो उससे एक बेहतर संदेश जाता।
मैं भारतीय वैज्ञानिकों को उसके इस पराक्रम पर मुबारकबाद देता हूं और भारत की बढ़ती हुई जो स्पेस शक्ति है उसको भी सलाम करता हूं।
Prime Minister's speech has become a movie kind of a thing now. That is why so much of suspense is created on that.
I think Atomic Center's research chief should have announced this, but the Prime Minister has done it. We have no quarrel over that. But the Prime Minister must not consider that this is a feather in his cap and he would get more votes because of this.
Right, so a slew of reactions coming in there from defense experts who are hailing this as a giant leap for India in space technology. They're congratulating Indian scientists. A lot of reactions predictably also from opposition leaders who don't seem to be very impressed with the fact that the Prime Minister decided to address to the nation to make this Big Bang announcement. Some even calling it a gross violation of the model code of conduct which is in place because the elections are now just around the corner. Others saying where was the need for the Prime Minister to make this announcement? Couldn't this have been done by the scientists themselves? Professor Dhaka, being a scientist, I'm pretty sure you don't want to get drawn into a debate on politics, but I'm still going to try and put you on the spot and ask you this question as a scientist yourself. Do you believe, as some have pointed out, that maybe it would have been better if the announcement had come from, let's say, the DRDO chief? Because at the end of the day, should this really be a moment in the sun for our scientists than the political class?
Probably they would be doing this whole job means in the background. But I remember I would like to mention here. I was here in the when this Mars mission was happened, and our Prime Minister said that if there is anything goes wrong, then I take the full responsibility to the scientist. And when everything was perfect, then he congratulated all the scientific community of the nation. So probably I think it's okay to increase the confidence of our technocrats, our scientists. If our Prime Minister is coming forward, I think I appreciate it.
That's interesting. So you seem to be making the point that if the Prime Minister has showed the boldness and the political will to take these tough decisions which haven't been taken by previous Prime Ministers or governments, and if he's willing to take the risks, if he's willing to, even accept responsibility for failure if something goes wrong, then it is all right for him to claim credit for something that works out and that is a success for India. That really is now going to be a political controversy that will probably rage on for a few days. In election season, you do expect that in India. Ashish, of course, politicians will carry on with their political barbs. Many opposition leaders today saying, why didn't the DRDO chief instead make this announcement? Why the Prime Minister, that too in election season with the model code of conduct in place? But that apart, fact of the matter is, as Professor Dhaka is saying, that, here's a Prime Minister who's shown an appetite, a tremendous appetite for some very bold and tough decisions. He's gone where no other Prime Minister or country has gone before, whether you look at his decision of demonetization, which of course has been controversial, and there continues to be a debate on that till today, on whether it really was an effective move or not, whether it was a surgical strike, whether it was the air strikes carried out recently in Balakot, or this move, because fact of the matter is that our scientists have said over a long period of time that we possess the capability to develop this anti-satellite missile system, but we have not got the political go-ahead to carry out a test of this nature. Fact is, that has now been breached. This government has gone ahead and done it. So how do you really look at that?
Neha, I have covered most of the major decisions of this government, be it in military domain, the financial or the space domain. At every stage, every decision, who conveys it, who announces it, has got a message. For example, when you had the surgical strikes, that was announced by the DGMO, a man in uniform, announcing it. The Balakot Air Force strike was announced by the Foreign Secretary, the senior most diplomat. Again, demonetization was announced by Prime Minister Modi, and this particular achievement of the mission Shakti has been announced by Prime Minister. So there is a message that is being conveyed, not only just to the Indians but to the world. And based on that, you choose the person who's announcing it. When you have a military man, a DGMO announcing, it means you want to send out a very strong deterrence to Pakistan. When you have a diplomat announcing the similar Air Force strike, it means that you have struck it, but at the same time, now you do not want to escalate it further. That's the reason you have a senior most diplomat announcing it. The demonetization was a political decision. This particular Mission Shakti was also a government's decision. In 2010, when we had the DRDO successfully conducting the Agni 5 test, at that time itself, it was pretty clear that when you have Agni 5, the ballistic missile being tested, it means that it just can be coupled with the air defense system, and we can have this particular achievement as far as the anti-satellites interceptor missiles are concerned. That was not done in 2010. For next 2.5 years, a couple of more tests of Agni 5 were conducted before they were handed over to the armed forces for the execution if and when required. But 2012 onwards as well, that political decision, that government decision was not taken. So Prime Minister Modi obviously announcing it is basically conveying to the world not only just the process of the political decision, but also to convey to the world as far as the future repercussions, possible future repercussions are concerned. Remember, this particular Mission Shakti, after the successful test, has the potential of having a lot of condemnation and the sanctions from the major countries in the world. Luckily, so far, nothing major has come from US or any other major country, not in terms of statement, not in terms of reaction. US, Russia, China, any of them have not reacted so far, nothing officially for sure. Now, when you have these kind of messages being announced by the Prime Minister Modi, it basically to tell the entire world that it's my decision. It was my government's decision, and we are fully prepared for it. If you keep a DRDO secretary, for example, the current one is Dr. G. Satish Reddy, that may not send out a strong message for the entire world. as far as the post-Mission Shakti possible scenario and the reactions are concerned. When you have a bureaucrat announcing it, when you have a scientist announcing it, it may not send out that strong message. When you have the head of the country announcing it, Prime Minister, it basically conveying a message to the entire world that we are ready for it. It's a government decision, it's a government thought-through process, and that's the reason why Prime Minister announced it. But nonetheless, yes, there are always going to be the nuances to it. Can we say that Prime Minister Modi is not eyeing any political benefit out of the entire mission? Certainly not. It's not going to be practically possible when you have Prime Minister announcing just few weeks ahead of the biggest elections in the world in terms of population. You have back-to-back Congress and BJP press conference taking place. You had the INB minister, you had the finance minister, and you had the defense minister holding the joint press conference. It basically is going to obviously have some kind of political mileage out of it. But in these kind of scenario, you got to keep your thoughts at the international level to be ready and prepared, and the messaging part to the international community. At the same time, in terms of derivative and byproduct process, you do extract maximum political mileage out of the
You've explained it quite well, Ashish, that maybe there is political mileage to be drawn from this, but at the end of the day, if the Prime Minister was playing to a domestic constituency, at the same time, he was also playing or addressing the international community, like you said. Here was a Prime Minister who was sending out a message that I'm in charge. I'm somebody who is capable of making bold and tough decisions. We've gone ahead and done this. Even though we possess the capability for a long time, it had never been done before by India, but we've now gone ahead and done it without fear. So clearly he was addressing both his domestic constituency on the eve of elections and the international community there. Though of course it's also interesting, Ashish, that a lot of times questions are asked about why is it that on all defense matters, keeping the Prime Minister aside, on all defense matters, why do we have Finance Minister Arun Jaitley coming out and holding press conference? Why never Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman? Very quickly, you want to address that criticism that is repeatedly leveled against the Modi government?
We all know it, Neha, but just to put it in different words, it's also about the political heavyweight perspective. You know, when you want to take on the opposition, when you want to convey a strong message to the entire country and to the international audience, it's also the political heavyweight and the relevance and the importance. I would use the word relative importance and the relevance within the system that matters. And that's the reason when you have Rafale verdict coming out from Supreme Court, you had a joint press conference by Defense Minister and the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. He's more articulate, he's more direct, he's much more aware of the international scenarios than the Defense Minister. That's the reason he's someone who takes the media and the opposition and the international community and the other domestic and international institutions questions very directly, and he knows how to handle it. So that's the reason why the Defense Minister generally doesn't it becomes the face as far as the entire process is concerned. That was not the case when Manohar Parrikar was Defense Minister, but now we have seen how it has changed, as I mentioned, because of the political nature as well of the system, of the entire CCS level, at the entire BJP level, the entire government level. The relative political importance and relevance in terms of heavyweight also matters. So that's the reason you have Defense Minister also being present there, but at the same time she's not the face of it. Arun Jaitley being more articulate, more direct and more knowledgeable about the entire process. He is someone who becomes the face, be it the Rafale verdict, be it the Mission Shakti or any other major decision of the government concerned. It's one thing about doing something. See, there are multiple processes. One is you got to take decision. Second is the process of it, the execution. And third is post-execution messaging and the deterrence that is being conveyed. All these three have different nature and the requirement. The decision making is altogether different ball game, where you need to take risk, you need to take calculated approach. That's one part. The execution comes to the bureaucrats, the military men, the scientists, whichever domain they are dealing with in terms of demonetization, surgical strike, Balakot strike or Mission Shakti. So that's where the execution part comes into the effect. But at the same time, the post-execution aspect requires altogether different ball game. It requires a political heavyweight, a message conveying ability. All these aspects are taken into consideration. That's the reason we had a joint press conference from INB Minister, from Finance Minister and the Defense Minister, but Arun Jaitley being the face of it for the various reasons I just mentioned in the last couple of hours. Neha?
Right. All right, Ashish, let's now get our viewers some exclusive details that we have got on Mission Shakti, its success and how it was accomplished. Now, what we are learning from our sources is that Prime Minister Modi, of course, gave the green signal to the DRDO to launch Mission Shakti program 2 years ago. Of course, the political signal had to come from the top, but this came as early as 2017. So this was 2 years in the making. In the last 2 years, the DRDO developed the required ballistic missile defense interceptor missile system, engaged it today with a redundant and old Indian satellite in low Earth orbit in a hit-to-kill mode. This is interesting, Ashish. This is interesting that it may have taken place today, this test. It may have been announced by the Prime Minister today, but it looks like it was 2 years in the making.
That's right. Now, based on the exclusive information I have acquired from our sources in DRDO and the Ministry of Defence, and ISRO, we can confirm to our viewers that 11:10 this morning was the exact time when India became the fourth such country to have the anti-satellite missile capability. Now, this was something that was being done by the DRDO earlier under the leadership of Dr. Christopher, the DRDO Secretary Chairman, and currently it's being done under Dr. G. Satish Reddy. Remember, he's someone who specializes in the missile technology. Before becoming the DRDO chief, he was heading the entire missile program of India, and now he's the DRDO chairman. So he was extremely crucial person as far as the entire missile technology in the Mission Shakti is concerned. So 11:10 is when we achieved the tag of being the fourth country in the world to have anti-satellite, and India is now prepared for the futuristic warfare scenario in the fourth domain of space. The story doesn't end here. We got to keep increasing it. The sources have clearly told me in last span of just a couple of hours that we got to keep increasing as far as the range and the intensity is concerned, and the further modifications and improvisation as far as the post-collision impacts are concerned. Is there a possibility that we can hit a satellite just damaging it, not creating much of debris? Is something that the DRDO and the ISRO is going to make progress on in coming future. Is there a way where we can reduce the time as far as the launch and the hit-to-kill target aspects are concerned? Currently, we took around 3 minutes to reach the lower Earth orbit of approximately 300 kilometers away from Earth. Can that be reduced? Because that's going to be an important factor when you have an incoming projectile coming towards India. If you have a stationary which is moving in an orbit, there is no hurry. You can easily neutralize it as and when you want. But in case of an incoming projectile, so the reduction as far as the timing between the launch and the hitting aspects are concerned, that's going to be the other focus area.
Give me just one moment, Ashish.
And the third and the most important one is the range.
Okay,
remember,
I'm so sorry, Ashish. I have a piece of breaking news to take right now. Give me a moment, I will come back to you. As we've been discussing all afternoon, there was bound to be politicking over this, and this has begun. First, of course, we saw a series of tweets being put out by several opposition leaders, almost mocking the Prime Minister's address to the nation and the fact that he chose to make this announcement himself via an address to the nation, many questioning the timing of the announcement, many others saying, why did the Prime Minister have to do it himself? Now, parties like the CPM have approached the Election Commission, terming the Prime Minister's announcement via that address to the nation a gross violation of the Model Code of Conduct which is in place ahead of the election. CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri has written to the poll panel in this regard. As a matter of fact, Mamata Banerjee, the West Bengal Chief Minister, has also threatened to take the matter to the Election Commission. Ashish Sinha, my colleague, joining us with more. Ashish, so far is it only the CPM? We are given to understand other leaders like the Trinamool could also approach the EC. What exactly are they saying in their complaint, and how soon are we likely to hear from the poll panel on this?
Yeah, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri has written a letter to Election Commission, and in his letter he says such a mission should normally be announced to the nation and to the world by the relevant scientific authority like DRDO. Instead, the Prime Minister has taken the route of an address to the nation in making this announcement. He further says in his letter that this announcement comes in the midst of the ongoing election campaign where the Prime Minister himself is a candidate. This is clearly a violation of Model Code of Conduct He further says in a letter that I would like to know that if in such an address to the nation by the Prime Minister, and did the Election Commission consider the permit such an address to the nation by the Prime Minister? The second thing he also asked to Election Commission that entire country would like to know the special reason why the Election Commission permitted to achievement of the Indian scientists to buy political color during the course of the general election. This is a letter written by the CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri to Election Commission. We have to wait for the response, what the Election Commission is going to respond on that letter.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what the Election Commission has to say. Well, this is now getting political. Clearly, Ashish, if I could bring you in, no surprises there. This is election season. The gloves are off, and therefore now you have the left, Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool, many others questioning the timing of the Prime Minister's announcement. At least the left has already approached the Election Commission, terming this a gross violation of the Model Code of Conduct. We don't know what the Election Commission is going to say, but one thing that we can be sure of, Ashish, is that, if we saw a major war was over, the surgical strikes first and then the Balakot airstrikes, it seems like this matter, this subject is all set to become a bone of contention as well between the opposition and the government, with some even jokingly saying online that maybe next the opposition will demand proof of this test, including proof that there is indeed some debris flying around in outer space.
As far as the proof is concerned, let's wait for just a few minutes. I'm told the DRDO is going to release some pictures and the videos, as they do it in most of the missile and the as ISRO does it in case of a satellite test. So that's going to come out now. I'm not sure whether they'll capture the debris flying out in the space and they're falling in the oceans on Earth or not. But, I'm not an expert in the Model Code of Conduct and the Election Commission issues, but generally, if you see, the Model Code of Conduct talks about not announcing any schemes, any policy decision making, and the government to public benefiting aspects. This is, I don't think, falling in any of the major domains as far as the apprehensions from the Election Commission side during the Model Code of Conduct comes into picture. But certainly it's a process, democratic country, let everyone have their own political mileage out of it. As I mentioned, it's not going to be practically possible to have an announcement being made, a major announcement being made from Prime Minister Modi, and then BJP and the other leaders from the BJP not trying to derive any political mileage out of it. So the BJP is also doing what they want to do politically. At the same time, you got oppositions as well to do all these activities and process to try and neutralize the political mileage that BJP may derive out of this entire process. But as far as the entire achievement aspect is concerned, yes, Neha, this is going to be one such decision which will be difficult for the BJP to convey to the people as far as the entire achievement aspect is concerned. Remember, we are talking about space domain, yes, space, cyber, and the niche aspects of military domain, yes, and the foreign affairs as well, are not the domains that directly and easily connect with people. They by and large understand what we have done, what we have become, but it's not going to be easy for BJP as well to try and take it to the masses, convert it into vote, make it an election issue. Certainly not. That's a good point you're making, because while this is a big achievement for our scientific community, no doubt, but whether it will really be a poll issue, the jury on that is still out, because this is not something that is easy to explain to an average person. To many it may sound like Greek, and of course talking about the controversy itself, we've heard Finance Minister Arun Jaitley in that press conference saying, do not expect the government to not act on matters of national security just because the Model Code of Conduct is in place. He said, if today we had to carry out a Balakot, we would do it regardless of the Model Code of Conduct, because what's supreme and paramount is national security. Ashish, stay on with us. Professor Dhaka, I'd also request you to stay on with us. Time for us to take a quick break here on the show, but when we return, we'll bring you a lot more on